Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 29th of March 2023. I'm Sarah and you are very welcome to my channel, SewMeSarah. Today I have some cross-stitch finishes to show and share with you and a little bit of chatter about finishing with chenille. So I hope that you enjoy what you watch here. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for all of the support that you give to this channel every time I post. It is much appreciated. And if you're new here, I hope that you will join the community by subscribing to the channel and following along with my cross-stitch journey. This morning's video is going to be hopefully a little bit shorter. So since last time that I was here, I have been to visit the doctor at the hospital for an ENT appointment about my ongoing throat problems. So I'm happy to report there is nothing severe or sinister. It is just a very prolonged recovery from what was a very bad infection in my throat earlier in the year, in December time, and it has really just persisted, and the sores in my throat persisted, and you'll know that I've been froggy from time to time. So apparently talking doesn't help that recovery. So I have been advised not to talk for prolonged periods. Mostly I don't anyway, but here on the channel clearly I can natter away for quite some time. So today I'm going to adapt and try to make this video a little bit shorter just to preserve my throat. So hopefully it will recover, but the doctor did say it's been 3.5 months already, and it will probably be a couple more before things feel fully normal and much less froggy. So fingers crossed anyway, but the good news is there's nothing actually wrong. So if you see me sipping water, just excuse that. I'm trying to keep everything from drying out. At the weekend, Charlotte had her Girls Brigade display. We call it GB here. It's a church organisation for girls. There is also a boys organisation called the BB, the Boys Brigade. And they're church organisations that take young people from preschool age right through to 18. And then of course they can stay on afterwards as leaders. But it takes them all the way through. There is a Christian ethos to it, but mostly it's games and playing and fun and physical activity. And Charlotte just has an absolute whale of a time there, and we are very blessed because her classroom assistant at school is the leader of the section of the GB that is her age range. So I know that she is able to be well looked after and cared for there, and that her classroom assistant is called Emma, so if I refer to Emma, that's who I mean. And Emma's mum, out of the goodness of her heart, comes every Wednesday night to sit with Charlotte and to just give Charlotte that extra little bit of care that she needs over and beyond her peers, which allows Charlotte to be included in activities for girls. And to Emma and her mum Judith, I cannot express my thanks enough for all that they do to make Charlotte included in that organisation, and she just absolutely loves it. So tonight is the final night of the year, the GB year. It runs from September to March every year, and tonight is the final night, so it's a party night. So Charlotte will be very excited when she comes home. But at the end of their year, they also have a display, and the parents are invited along to see examples of the kinds of things that the girls have been doing. So dancing and music and little scripture plays and things like that. And then there's an awards ceremony as well. And because of COVID, the last few years, that hasn't been possible. But Saturday night was their first display in a number of years, and Charlotte's first experience of that. So she had a great time, was a bit confused, didn't understand really what was going on. It's not something I can explain to Charlotte. I tried to explain that it was like a show and that the mummies and daddies would come and watch, but she didn't really get that until it was all happening around her. And she had a little dance sequence, so the girls were all lined around the square of the performing area, and I happened to be luckily sat quite close to where Charlotte was and was able to get a video. So I will try to insert a little bit of Charlotte's enthusiastic dancing here for those of you who just like to know what she's been up to as well. Thank you so much to everyone who left comments after the last video and let me know that the bow and arrow on the British Isles Adventure SAL by Caterpillar Cross Stitch represents Robin Hood. Of course it does. It just didn't occur to me, and it should have, and it's so obvious now that I've been told lots of times. Thank you so much all for putting me right on that. Of course it's Robin Hood. That makes much more sense. I also should say thank you to Jean, who let me know that the football on the chart, which is in the Manchester, Liverpool area, probably more Manchester area, Jean said that the football could represent the fact that the National Museum of Football is in the Manchester area. So that was interesting, and I didn't know that also. So thank you all for keeping me right. My resolve for pattern purchasing is creaking. You can probably hear it where you are because the creaks are getting louder by the day. Technically, I haven't actually made a purchase yet. I have been the recipient of some blessings in terms of folks who have ordered 2 copies or have somehow acquired 2 copies of patterns. The first is Lorraine, who lives here in Northern Ireland, and I don't know Lorraine personally, but she did find me on YouTube, so it's nice to have another Northern Ireland Stitcher connection. Anyway, Lorraine contacted and said she had 2 copies of the Blackbird Designs sewing club book, and would I like a copy? So I said, yes, of course I would like a copy. I have seen these on many channels, and I've never seen this one in the flesh, but I've always admired that she works with willing hands. And as it happens, my other favorites from the book are on the cover as well. So this little bag, and it says hollyhocks on it, if you can see. And then this little pillow sampler up here. The sampler on the back is also very beautiful. And everything in here is very beautiful, and there are many that I do want to stitch in the future, Lorraine. So thank you so much for generously offering this to me, this spare copy that you had. Lorraine and I actually arranged a little swap, and I sent her my copy of Blackbird Designs A Heart Remembers, which I purchased last year, but I don't think I will stitch from, so I was very happy to share it with Lorraine if she didn't have it. Lorraine was also very generous in sending some extra goodies in the package. She sent me some 25 count even weave fabrics that were hand dyed by Coffee Craft Fabrics. This is beautiful. It's coming across quite grey here, but there is a definite lavender purplish tinge of it. Look at the modelling on that. Isn't it glorious? Beautiful. I hadn't seen any of Coffee Craft Fabrics before, and Lorraine thought it might be nice to share hers with me. and let me see some of them. So I'm very grateful. She also shared this piece. They don't seem to have a colour name on them, so I can't help you with that, I'm afraid, but this is another gorgeous piece, sort of aqua blue colour. Yeah, right up my street, so I will find something beautiful to put on that. Thank you so much, Lorraine. And there was a lovely little Haribo cherries needle minder. Who doesn't love Haribo cherries? Thank you, Lorraine. And she didn't forget Charlotte, which was really very generous. And she sent Charlotte some pens and stickers and a colouring book. So just in time for Easter and all the many days that I will have to keep Charlotte entertained. So thank you very much, Lorraine, and that was so appreciated and very, very kind of you. I benefited from another friend's duplicate purchase. My friend Margaret was here last Friday afternoon for a little bit of a chat and stitch, and she had 2 copies of the Cuckoo Bird sampler and very kindly gave me one of them. So you can see that I have been the beneficiary of the duplication bug where we as stitchers order 2. I don't know how we did, but I have been the beneficiary of that. So this is the Heart and Hand release from this year's Needlework Market, one of the Heart and Hand releases from this year's Needlework Market, called Cuckoo Bird Sampler. And it is dedicated on the back to Brenda and Laura, who inspire creativity and connection in our community. And that is Brenda and Laura from Brenda and the Cereal Starter on Flosstube. And if you watch them, you'll know that in Brenda's home, where they record their videos, there's a cuckoo clock which has perfect timing. So this is a little tribute to them by Cecile. So thank you, Margaret, for sharing. I will enjoy stitching that at some point in time. I am also very, very tempted because this week I watched Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery's new Flosstube video. He has many new releases, and they are all gorgeous. And of course I could be tempted by any of those. So you need to watch if you are a Modern Folk Embroidery fan and you haven't caught that video yet, then do go and watch it. I don't want to spoil it too much. So he has lots of releases that he's already put on his shop, but the one that interests me most is the one that is yet to come. And he mentions at the very end of his video that he has been doing a little bit of white work. Now, I did see an Instagram post ahead of his Flosstube that showed the white work that he's talking about, and it is beautiful, and it is something I would really, really love to have a go at. It's a kind of embroidery that I haven't really done before. I don't think it's quite full hardanger work, but there probably is some crossover. I'm not knowledgeable enough in that area to be able to talk about it yet. But what I will say is, if you have any interest in it, Jacob seems to be planning the release of a pattern, a small pincushion type pattern, and some videos to support that, some sort of tutorial type videos to support the stitching of that. So I am really looking forward to that, and I guess that I'm probably going to purchase it and break my resolve. Although it's not quite breaking, so it may just be one of the first of my purchases in this year. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that and to learning something new. I really enjoy cross stitch and embroidery and other needle crafts. I know you don't see so much of them here because I'm obsessed with the cross stitch and it takes up most of my time these days. But I would really love to know how to do that exquisite white work. And so I am being tempted and tempted and tempted again. So I look forward to that. Let's get on to what I want to share with you today, which is a number of finishes. I did tell you that over in my little finishing pile, which is my equivalent of the under the bed box. So in my finishes pile, I had, I think, 27 stitches that I hadn't done anything with, and I wanted to do something with them. And I was looking at chenille and how I might use chenille to finish the stitches in little pillows. So I wanted to show you those today and talk a little bit about chenille. So I have, as you can see, pretty much chenilled everything. If it sat still for long enough, I chenilled it. So I started small and then I got carried away. So let me tell you about these finishes and then let me talk a little bit about chenille. So the first of my finishes is the the bonus pattern that comes in the Hive Rules booklet by Primrose Cottage Designs. So this is the little stitch piece. I added the gingham to the sides. And then I have two little buttons that I just sewed one on top of the other because the colours were perfect. And a little tiny bee charm. I just looped a little bit of thread behind there and hung it off that. So that is my welcome to our hive pillow. And I just finished it with the gingham on the back as well. I do tend to leave my pillows open along the bottom and then stitch them with an invisible ladder stitch, or hopefully invisible ladder stitch. And these are all stuffed today with polyfill. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It is a bigger one, but hopefully when I make a kind of bee display, this will provide some of the variety of size because other things are smaller. So that's the first, no chenille. And then I hit the chenille. So I had ordered some chenille from a UK company, and it is cotton chenille and hand dyed. I ordered a couple of sampler packs, so these are them. This one is winter and this one is berries. Now on the site you didn't get to see these because to me this is more autumn. The blue is winter and possibly this lighter one, but the rest are, to me, those are pretty autumnal, not winterish. So that wasn't quite what I was expecting. And the berries are, well, very blue. So just one of those accidents that happens because you don't get to see online what you're ordering. But it is cotton chenille. I was able to use the blue one. You won't see it today, I don't think. No, you won't see it today because I have two more pillow finishes than the ones that I'm about to show you. And I will share those with you when they've been received. I took a little video, a separate video of those before I sent them away. And when they have arrived with the recipients, then I will be able to share them here on the channel. But I was able to use this blue because it did suit one of the items very well, and it looks good. So I was able to use this one. I also have used this one on a couple of my finishes here in the tray. So as I said, this is a cotton chenille, and this one is reds, burgundies, and there's even a little bit of purple. Can you see here? It moved into purple, but it's such a small piece and it's further around the side, and it actually worked quite well. It's not glaringly obvious that there's this bright purple piece in the hand dyed. You can see that it's got quite a bobbly, what I would describe as a bobbly or bumpy texture. It almost looks like I've sewn it down, but I haven't. So this was my first experience with chenille and how to trim with chenille, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I went to the experts and I watched Helen D's tutorial, which is great, and I will link that below if you are interested in working with chenille trim. So Helen, on her video tutorial, she shows how you would sew it down and also how you would glue it down. And I think people tend to fall into one or other camp, whether you would prefer a sewn finish or a glued finish. And I understand completely that many people do not like to glue on their stitching. So if that's not for you, then sewing would be your option, and Helen does show how to do that. In all honesty, I thought that's what I would do. I thought I would sew it. But as Helen explains on her tutorial, when you sew, you get this kind of lumpy bumpy effect, which is actually what this looks like, but I didn't sew it. So I'm not sure why this chenille has this look, but it wouldn't be my preference. Now that doesn't mean I don't like it on here, I do, but I would just prefer a smoother look, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. But in any case, Helen's tutorial was fantastic, and I glued this. I used Anita's tacky glue. Let me show you that, because here in the UK, Aileen's craft glue or tacky glue isn't readily available to us. So this is Anita's tacky glue, and this is quite a big one, this 120 mils. You can get it in a slightly smaller one as well, and it's done the job beautifully, and it behaves the way I believe Aileen's tacky glue would behave. You can get Aileen's tacky glue if you order it from Amazon, but it comes posted from the US. So anyway, it's available if you really want it, but this did the job really nicely. And this has a lovely fine nozzle on the top, which means that you can be very precise about where you're putting the glue, and you don't have to put too much, and it dries clear. So that's just, again, for those of us who can't get hold of Aileen's, you could use Anita's tacky glue. Okay, so I glued it. I followed Helen's tutorial, and it was really simple and straightforward, and it worked perfectly. Do have to hold it on a little bit just to make sure that it sticks. Just give it time to be, you know, to make the bond that it needs with the side of your fabric. So that is my finish of this one. And this piece the fabric came in this kit, and I just used the full width and folded it round and put the seam all the way down the middle, so there are no seams around the edge of this pillow. Well, sorry, there's a seam at the top and the bottom, but there's no, you know, it doesn't have a front and a back. I made a tube basically, and then I stitched up the top and the bottom of it, and that's just because there was enough fabric and I was able to use it. It was a nice piece of hand-dyed fabric that came in the pattern. This is a heart and hand pattern, and I've forgotten what it's called, but I will link it below. So that's the first one. Then I used the same trim, let me show you, the same trim for Scarecrow Jack Mini by Finally a Farm Girl. Now this one has a little bit more purple. You can see it has a little bit more purple in this cut of it, of the trim, but that works fine because he's got this burgundy like cravat on, scarf, and the burgundy trim in his cap as well, in his hat as well. So I'm very happy with that. I put a little bit of orange polka dot on the back just to keep with the harvest kind of autumnal vibes of this one. Love it. And then I think everything else that I have to show you here is a different type of chenille. So I moved away from this chenille. The other thing to say about this chenille is that this was much skinnier than I expected it to be. No, it works beautifully. These look good. I think they look good anyway. But this is just a little bit skinnier than I was expecting. I've seen lots of finishes, American finishers finishing things, and to me that their chenille always looks a little bit fluffier than that, or fuller than that, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a trick of the camera or something. But anyway, you may recall that last year I did a little dyeing experiment, which wasn't really very successful. But in that experiment I used this kind of chunkier chenille. Now the difference, as well as just being thicker than these ones, is this is cotton chenille, which can be hand dyed, and this is a synthetic chenille, so it's probably polyester. and it doesn't take the dye very well. So the results of my dye experiments were these. And you can see really that the only colour that took was the very, I think it's called Paradise Blue by Dylon. And some of them I left in longer so they're a bit stronger. So yeah, for some reason it accepted the blue dyes but not the others. You can see that I have various shades of cream, which should really have been bright orange or bright yellow and pink and tan, but they're not. So I kept to these because they might come in useful. They're not, you know, they're not specific colors, but they still may be useful. And this thickness of chenille I really did like, or do like. So I decided I would use it on these two. This is Darlene Dion Designs Let's Stay at Home. Can you see how much thicker the chenille is? So this would be my preference in terms of, you know, in terms of thickness. I also used it on the Meant to Be, which is one of Kathy at Hands On Design. Did I say Hands On Design for this one? This one? It's not Hands On Design, it's Heart and Hand. If I said Hands On Design, I was wrong. This is Heart and Hand. Anyway, this is Hands On Design. This is one of her little February anniversary Valentine release patterns, and I have 2 more of those here as well to share with you. But I tried the thicker chenille on this one, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. And it's just, you know, it's just cut close so that the two ends come together, and a little bit of glue at the bottom just to try and make the 2 ends stick. And I don't think it looks too bad. It's on the bottom, and it's going to be resting on there. You won't see. So, oops, sorry. I'm not very good at this presenting business. So the other 2 anniversary Valentine designs that I had, finishes that I had by Kathy, are Love is Kind. You can see that I didn't chenille this one. I copied the pattern and I added some baker's twine and tied it in a bow. My bows are not very good. I think if I could go back, I probably wouldn't do that. I did tea coffee dip the baker's twine just because it was quite bright white, and I was putting it with this Rustico Ada, so I just dipped it quickly and then let it dry, just so that it wouldn't be quite so bright. So it looks okay. Like I said, I'm not sure that I would repeat the baker twine thing. I don't think I executed that very well. But anyway, that is another finish from my Valentine stitching. And the last one of Kathy's little designs that I have to share with you is this one. And I think it's just called L-O-V-E, L-O-V-E. Now this chenille is thinner than this chenille, but is not this chenille. So I was thinking that I order fabric quite often from Wool Warehouse, and I thought, you know, Wool Warehouse sell wool. Perhaps they have chenille. So I had a little look on their site, and I was able to find some balls of chenille. Now, it is really hard to tell online how thick that chenille is going to be. So I had hoped it would be thicker like this, but it's not. It is thinner, but possibly not as skinny as the cotton chenille. Has a little bit more, just a little bit more fluff to it than this cotton chenille does. So if you are interested in using chenille, and if you don't mind that it's not cotton chenille, I know some people will want it to be just cotton. They won't want the synthetic chenille. But if you don't mind using the synthetic chenille, this is an option for you. And I was able to get several colors of this quite inexpensively. There's a pink, and that is my Strawberry Fair finish. And I should show you the backing fabrics because they're pretty. This one is a Tilda. And this one is, I think it's Three Sisters by Moda. It's a Moda anyway, but I think it's a Three Sisters. Okay, and that is, so these are the same chenille, just different colours. And I'm going to show you the colours that I bought. These are Sirdar Happy Chenille. And it's a little 15-gram ball. So kind of like about this size. Actually, this one hasn't been used at all, so you can see. And these little balls of chenille are £1.09 each. So that's good value. There's a lot of chenille on that for £1.09 on that one. And there is a nice range of colours. So I bought these three thinking these would be probably the colours I'm using most at the moment anyway. And I was really happy with it. Really, really happy with it. I would like it to be a little bit chunkier, but when I received them and then realised they weren't as chunky as I was hoping, you can, let me see if I can compare them for you. So can you see the difference there on my hand? There you go. So when I realised it wasn't as chunky as I was hoping for, I went back and I did a search to see if there was chunky chenille, and it is there. It comes in more expensive balls, not massively expensive when you consider the price of the hand dyed, but I'm actually quite happy with these. And they make a nice finish. So this is just my way, my lengthy, wordy way of saying, if you're interested in chenille and you're not bothered that it has to be cotton and hand dyed, then Wool Warehouse and probably your local wool store will keep Sirdar Happy Chenille. I will link them below, just in case you want to go straight to the Wool Warehouse site, and you'll be able to see the different colours. I think there are about 15 different colours perhaps in it, so there were a nice range of colours in there. And if you are interested particularly in any of these colours, I can look and try to find. They're not named on the labels, they've got a colour number on the label, but they did have names, I think, on the site. So this worked really well for me. I would ideally like them to be this chunky, but I'm happy enough. So, oh, and this one, just to let you know, if for some reason you are interested, this one came from B&M at the costly sum of about £2.50 a ball or £2.99 a ball or something. And I bought this because as I said, I thought I could dye it. I thought I'd be able to make dye. I think if you buy a dye that's specifically designed for dyeing synthetic items, it might work better. But they did have I think they had a grey and like a beige colour as well. So they had a couple of neutrals. Just if that's your thing, you might want to. I decided to try this one out in its original colour. Sorry, the light is blowing out. On this little love design. This is probably my least favourite actually, because once I glued it on, I thought I would have been better with a colour. I think I would have been better with a coloured chenille. But anyway, it is what it is. There's a nice little floral print on the back, and this is a freebie design from the Stitcherhood. I probably haven't spent lots of time talking about the patterns themselves today because I've shown them on previous videos. If there's something that is missing in terms of information and you want to know, just ask, please. I'll be very happy to find out for you. So this one is by the Stitcherhood. It's a little freebie from theirs. So yeah, I think I would probably prefer a more of a contrast between my fabric and my chenille, but you know, it was a learning experience. And then the final little pillow that I have to show you is my yellow bird. Now, I used exactly the same technique with this but clearly this is not chenille, this is a braid. And it worked perfectly. And on the back, there's a little piece of gold fabric. So this is the one that I stitched 1/1 on 25 count. And I love it. So I'm very happy with how all of those have finished up. I'm going to show you the braids actually. Bear with me again. You'd think I'd be organized today. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I should really have been better organized. But it just occurred to me as I was showing that you might like to know that in the UK, the Range, which is an enormous store that sells all things home, really, decor, hardware, cleaning, picture frames, where I've got a lot of the picture frames from recently. They also have a craft section, and in that craft section, they have some trims. So I was able to pick up, let's see, rope style ribbon, they call this one. And I was able to pick it up in a gold, and there's also a silver. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. I'm not doing a good job today. Okay, there it is in silver. You don't want to just see that. It's not sharing anything with you. Okay, here it is in silver. Okay, so silver and gold. And these are about 69 or 89 pence each. So there's 2 meters on here for 69 or 89 pence. I think that's super value. I also have, I'll just show you because I've got them here, luster ribbon. Can you see that? And there's this other beautiful color here. And I think there might be more colors than this that I didn't choose, but this luster ribbon also comes from the Range, and I think it's again 69, 89 pence a roll, and this one again 2 meters. So I used this on something else to finish that I've shown you in the past, but it's not here. I think on one of my Valentine pieces I added some of that. And they also have, just while I'm here, I'll show you, they also have Trimet's little lace trims. And they come in different colours. So I have cream and black, and I have a pink. Some of these I have taken off the spools. And then they have bigger ones as well. These all came on spools, but because they were bigger, I've taken them off just to save space in storage. But I've got several different types of this thicker crochet. And again, I don't think this was any more than about £1.50, £1.29, something like that. And this would be my favorite type of trim. This or the thinner, these thinner ones. Like a lace trim would be my favorite crocheted lace. So anyway, that is again just to try to remember to share with you what's available and where you can get it and how costly or cost effective it might be. So this is my little tray of trims. Clearly there are too many for this this display, but this was just to show you that is all of my pillow finishes, and I'm down to about 13 finishes left in my under the bed box or over in the corner pile. So that is good progress, and I know everything was chenille, but these will all be displayed at different times. They're not going to be grouped together like this ever again. Thank you for allowing me to share my little cushion finishes with you, and I hope maybe some of the information about chenille has been helpful to some of you. I have one more finish to share with you that is not a cushion, and that is this Truly Madly Deeply. I showed you the finished stitching a couple of videos back, maybe 3 or 4 videos back. I'm sorry for all the reflection and glare on this today. This is a freebie pattern from Snowflower Diaries. I'll link it below. I did make some mystery mistake. I have no idea why, but truly should have been over here. I have no idea why I started it here. Anyway, the end result was that I added one of these little flowers up here. I turned it on its side and added it up there rather than restitching. So my design looks a little bit different. If you are downloading the pattern yourself and wonder about that, that is why. So this is a 6x8 frame that I ordered from Amazon, and it is in the colour Sage. The brand is called Hamptons, just in case you're interested. But I found this Sage one and I thought it would look really nice with this design, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now this is, as I said, 6x8, and when I stitched my piece, it should have fitted perfectly. But when the frame arrived and I put the piece in, the white stitching was right under the frame, just right on the edge. I think there was one line, one of the edges where you could see the stitching a little bit, but the rest would have moved underneath. So there was just I think what's happened is that the opening of the frame is not exactly 6x8. There's a little bit of recess allowance. So all I did was I took out the stitching for the original border of white stitches that I had, but I really liked them. I think they added just a little bit of something to this stitch. So I just moved them in 2 or 3 stitches, really. And that brought them inside the frame aperture. So I'm really happy with that. And I will link this below. This frame came from Amazon. As I said, there are there's a series of sizes, or square and rectangle, and a series of colours. So I think it was about £12, so it wasn't, well, too expensive. And it looks nice. So that is my non-pillow finish, non-cushion finish for this week. So yeah, as you can see, I have managed to get that little finish pile down considerably, and that makes me happier. The result of all that finishing is that there's been less stitching. So that is, as well as my throat, one of the reasons that I'm not going to show my whips today, is there's not very much progress. A little bit, but not very much. So hopefully next time when I come back, there will be some more. So my plans are to catch up on some of that whip stitching that I have been, I've been otherwise engaged and not getting to. And also, by the time I come back, I should have started the Get Your Kit On SAL. It's just a final reminder, really, that the Get Your Kit On SAL will start officially on April the 10th, but you can go ahead and post to the hashtag on Instagram anytime you like now, really. So get your kits ready, and you can start if you want to. There's no police. I'm not going to come shout at you for starting early. But if you have a kit, either one that's already underway or a new kit in your stash that you want to get out and get started, then you could join us for the Get Your Kit On SAL. Just use the hashtag on Instagram and share your photographs. If you are sharing your photographs on there, please tell us the name of your kit and the name of the designer, because some folks might be really interested to know where they could also purchase it. I am going to be doing the turquoise teacups by Luca S, and that was your choice from 2 options that I gave you a few videos back, and you were all kind enough to give me your opinions, and the outcome was the turquoise teacups one. So I am looking forward to starting this. All my threads are already sorted for me, so that's really nice. And this is on a lovely blue Ada. So I think it's a 16 count Ada, it says. And those are anchor threads in this Luca S kit. Colours are just beautiful. So I'm looking forward to getting that started. I am going to start on Easter Monday. And given that it is the 29th of March now, and Easter Monday is Monday the 10th, I don't think I'll be back here on the channel before then. So please get your kits out. Please come and join us. Share away on the video, on the pictures, and on Instagram. And let's see all the fun kits that are out there to be had. I wish you all a very blessed Easter. I hope that whatever celebrations or family gatherings you have, that you will have lots of love and happiness and laughter and make memories over that time together. And I look forward to coming back and sharing everything else with you next time. So until then, stay well and stitch happy. Bye.